Skyscraper is a map that I used to hate. Yes, I said it. Used to hate. I actually do quite like Skyscraper. It's a very underrated map in my opinion. Old Skyscraper though, never liked that map. I could be wrong on this, but I feel I'm kind of the opposite with people. Most people don't like new Skyscraper but liked old Skyscraper, but I'm the opposite and I hated old Skyscraper but like new Skyscraper. I could be completely wrong with that though, but I feel like I do remember people liked old Skyscraper. If that's true, then you're a weirdo, cause I literally can't say anything good about old Skyscraper, to be honest. I mean, I guess it looks nice, but the new one looks nice as well, so... Anyway, that's enough rambling. This map was reworked in Operation Neon Dawn. No one cares. Let's just get onto the video. This map actually had so many more changes than I remember, to be honest. One of those changes though was not the spawn points. All three of them are the same across both versions, but the stuff within the spawn points and around the spawn points has definitely changed. Let's start off with a helipad spawn point. I basically always spawn at this spawn point, but one thing that I didn't even realise is that this entrance on the right into the peaceful tree area actually used to be a lot more to the left and closer to the left entrance. But as you can see in the rework here, that entrance has been pushed all the way to the right edge. If we look up at the building from here, we can see there actually used to be walkways on the first floor and second floor on this west side. That isn't the case anymore though, and those walkways are completely gone. The walkways also connected directly to the walkways on the north and south side of the building as well, so attackers could easily walk around the whole thing. These walkways haven't just been replaced by air in the rework though. Instead, these walkways are actually indoors in the building now. So everywhere you see me walking on the west hallways here in the original is actually now just in the building. We'll be able to see that a lot clearer when we actually get inside the building and take a look around. Let's head over to the tower spawn point now and take a look at the tower itself, because this tower actually used to be climbable. There used to be stairs in the middle here where you can get up to the second floor of the tower and get some peeks through the windows. Very good for snipers. These stairs have been completely removed though in the rework, and this tower is no longer climbable. I don't feel like they should have made this change, to be fair, because half of these windows are gone now anyway, so it's not like a massive advantage to the attackers like it was in the original. I swear you used to be able to climb on these roofs as well, but I could just be remembering that wrong. I couldn't figure out a way at least to get on top of these. And another mildly interesting change about the tower spawn point are these doors here, because in the original both of these doors actually used to be closed. In the rework now though, one of them's open, so that's just another route for attackers to get, well, I guess to the outside of the building. And now for the final spawn point, my least favourite spawn point in the whole of Siege, the ventilation units. In the original, the ventilation unit spawn point never used to be able to connect to the peaceful tree area. Nowadays there's a direct link between these two though. To be fair, I didn't even realise there was anyway. I literally could not care less about this spawn point. This part here though used to be a lot lower down than it is nowadays because of the stairs existing nowadays. These stairs going around the outer skyscraper weren't there in the original. There's a couple more things to cover on the outside, but I'll get to those when we get to the rooms indoors that are close to those outdoor areas. Let's head into the building now and go through the toilet window. Creepy. We can already see a difference in here, in that it's much bigger in the rework. That's because this northwest side of the building was actually extended a bit on the north side. Once again, because of those balconies that used to be there, are now inside the building instead. That also gave the restaurant a little bit more space on the north side, and we can see in the rework there's now a stage here which wasn't there in the original, as this would have been on the other side of the outer wall. Usually in reworks windows get removed, but in this case a window was actually added in the restaurant. This window never used to be here in the original, and it would have been right behind these chairs. These chairs were able to be moved more to the north though in the rework, as there's more space in this room now, so that left a bit more space for this window to actually be there. Another recurring theme of reworks is making areas less open, and that certainly did happen with the restaurant here, because in the original you never used to have this doorway separating the restaurant from the sushi bar, and the sushi bar didn't even exist. This whole area was just the restaurant. and you used to be able to get an angle from behind the bar to that corridor that leads to the stairs. But because of that doorway being added, there's now just a brick wall here. And speaking of that corridor, it's certainly a lot longer now than it was before because of that extension on the west side. Same with the stairs pretty much. They used to start immediately right next to the window, but now they start further back because of the extension on the north side. Let's move on to the barbecue room. And it's kept mostly the same layout, it's just that it's bigger now. One massive change to this room though is the window being boarded up now, because this window actually did used to be breachable, and it made barbecue a really bad objective to defend. We'll get to that later though when we actually talk about the bomb objectives. Another change is the kitchen door not existing in here. This used to just be breachable walls leading to the kitchen. We still have those breachable walls now, but it's just a door there now as well. The kitchen door used to be in the restaurant actually, or what's nowadays the sushi bar, in this corner right here. This corner is now part of the sushi bar, but it used to be part of the kitchen. And there used to be a breachable wall right here too. So you used to be able to go directly from the restaurant to the kitchen, but that's not possible in the reworked Skyscraper. So what actually changed in the kitchen itself? A few things actually. First of all, there's a bit of cover now in the middle, so you can't get angles anymore from the window straight to the barbecue room. This also just gives a bit more cover in the kitchen in general. The hatch also used to be more in the middle of the room rather than all the way to the east side. Just another recurring thing that happens usually with reworked maps. And there used to be a breachable wall actually on the west side. I don't really remember this breachable wall in old Skyscraper to be honest, but it did used to be there. This breachable wall led directly outside, so that's just another thing that made kitchen more undefendable in the original. The entrance door to the pantry did change as well. This door used to be more central in this wall, with two breachable walls either side, but now the door's been moved all the way to the south, with the two breachable walls just next to it instead. That just helps with preventing long angles from the delivery room, through the pantry, and then all the way through to the kitchen. That's especially not possible anymore because of this unit being moved, and now completely blocking the door. So you've overall got more cover now in the pantry, because this room, well, it literally didn't have any cover at all before, to be honest. The door to the delivery room used to come out more into the pantry as well, so you had this little space here full of breachable walls next to the door that leads to the bar. Before we check out the bar and reception, let's quickly have a look at the delivery room. This room did get me quite confused actually, because in the rework it's a lot smaller than it is in the original, and part of that is because the pantry gained a bit of extra space. That only took out a little bit of the delivery room though. The other part is now just unused space, and that's it. Where you can see this desk in the original, that whole bit there is now just nothing. There's just emptiness here between the walls of the delivery room and the bar, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't just leave this space in the delivery room, to be honest. That's far from the only change in the delivery room though. Because of the size difference, pretty much all of the props in here have moved around and changed. There used to be two big doors and a breachable wall leading outside, but now only one big door remains and the breachable wall is gone. This breachable wall used to be right here, which nowadays is actually in the pantry, and it's the big door that's on the right when in the delivery room that's been removed. It would have been about here behind these cabinets. Even on the other side of this door outside though is completely different. You would think those two big doors would be right next to each other outside, but they're actually not. They're separated by a wall. The right one used to just lead to an open space outside, similarly to how the current big door here leads outside. The left one, however, led to an enclosed area that was still outside, which had this door and two windows. We'll get to where these two windows lead to very shortly. This was overall just really weird though. I think it could have actually been cool if they made this enclosed area indoors instead, so the other side of this left big door here actually counted as indoor space for the defenders. And then another really big change to And then another really big change to the delivery room is on the north side, where we have this door that connects from the delivery room to reception. This door wasn't a thing though. Instead, we actually had two elevators which couldn't be used, which had doors on either side. So you couldn't originally get from the delivery room straight to reception. So let's actually talk about reception now, which definitely used to look a lot different in the original. This room wasn't actually even called reception in the original, it was called the main entrance. Reception was a thing in the original though, it just wasn't this room. I guess the main reason it's not called the main entrance anymore though, is because there isn't an entrance at all anymore in this room. Because this door here actually did used to be breachable, whilst now it's just permanently boarded up. These two drone holes either side of the door didn't used to exist either. I use these drone holes quite often, so this is something I noticed immediately. I guess there wouldn't really be a point in these drone holes anyway though, considering this door was breachable before, so the drone could just, well, go through the door. And it's overall a lot bigger in here now because of those elevators being gone. So the wall separating this reception from the delivery room is overall much thinner than it used to be. And there used to be quite a lot of greenery in this room. Screw these damn plants! So it was actually just this room right next to it that was called reception before, but now it's called the code check. The desk has changed position slightly, but other than that, nothing has changed here. Then if we go behind the bar, we can see this actually used to be called reception as well. Nothing's changed here other than the stairs, because you used to be able to shoot up the stairs from here. The change to a solid wall definitely makes these stairs a lot safer to climb now. Now let's move to the other side of reception, to the house lobby, where we can find quite a lot has actually changed here. First of all, when coming out of the main entrance room in the original, there would be another room between that and the house lobby, which was the house entrance. House lobby was then merged into this room, so now it's just the house lobby. And because these two used to be two separate rooms, there was actually a double door between them that you could barricade. For the house entrance part itself, well, there's not really a lot that could have changed in here to be fair, but there is stuff that did. The main thing of course being this window on the north wall being breachable. It's not breachable in the rework anymore, but in the original it was. As for the window that's currently in this part in the rework though, that actually used to be a door instead. So you used to have a door and a window in this room. The balcony layout outside did change a bit across both versions as well. In a weird way it kind of felt more claustrophobic in the original despite it technically actually being bigger. This is mostly because the side entrance door was pushed much further back before. Speaking of the side entrance, this room didn't actually exist in the original. Of course the door still did, but the room itself didn't. The door literally just came out into the house lobby. So yeah, entering through this door was quite a pain back in the day. I mean, I would say it still is to be fair. But now it's time to talk about the house lobby itself. It's similar, I guess, across both versions, but very different at the same time. I mean, the doors to the bathroom and the bedroom were in different spots, that's for sure. The doors were originally opposite each other, whilst now they're along the same wall. There was this structure in the middle of the room, but it didn't really give that much cover to be fair. The stairs going up to the VIP clearance used to start from the south, whilst now they start from the west. And there used to be a door in this room to the delivery room. This was kind of essential though back then, considering there wasn't a door connecting the delivery room to the main entrance. Now that we have that door connecting delivery to main entrance, or now in this case the reception, this old door is no longer needed, and so that's why it was removed, I guess. It's bedroom time! Wow, this room didn't change a lot, but the things that did change, yeah, this room was pretty undefendable back in the day. First of all, the biggest reason why this room was undefendable was thanks to this right window here, because this one actually used to be breachable in the original. I mean, this room is so small you could see literally everything through this window to be honest, except the northeast corner, which had a breachable wall behind it anyway, so it didn't even matter. This room was basically just off limits to defenders. On the topic of that breachable wall, the closet where this breachable wall is nowadays wasn't actually a thing. The breachable wall was just in the bedroom itself. That closet didn't exist. That was instead part of the house lobby. So you couldn't even hide in there. You know the hatch in the floor in the work office upstairs? You know, the one that leads to the walk-in. The one that did definitely not lead to the walk-in in the original. It led to the bedroom. Of course it did, because we needed to make the bedroom even more undefendable with a hatch in the ceiling as well. Thank God this one was moved to the walk-in. You know what, it's fine. We don't have to stay in the bedroom. We could just make a rotation to the bathroom instead. Oh, okay. I guess we couldn't actually make rotations to the bathroom either then, because these walls were breachable, but you could not walk through them, you could not reinforce them, you could only shoot through them. Not that it really matters anyway, because the bathroom wasn't even much better. Well, actually I take that back, the bathroom was quite a lot better, but it's not really saying much because the bedroom was so bad. Anyway, the reason the bathroom wasn't that good either was because this window in here was actually breachable as well. This was one of the windows I was actually talking about in that little enclosed area out of that left door in the delivery room. The second window there is the one that leads into the walk-in closet, which is still there to this day. Just not in the enclosed area anymore, as that area is gone. Other than that window though, not a lot else really changed in the bathroom, other than a few internal walls shifted about a bit just for a change of cover, and of course the main door leading back into the house lobby changing position. As for the walk-in, which used to just be called the closet, and other than the hatch in the ceiling not being there, it was also quite narrow back then as well. Because the building was extended out a bit to the south, this closet was able to get bigger, so it doesn't feel quite as claustrophobic anymore. Okay, we're finally getting to the second floor. Don't worry though, there's just as many changes on the second floor. We can already see some of those changes instantly just when we head up the house stairs. A pretty big change in this room actually is this one window here. This window was actually breachable before. Why was this such a big deal though? Well, you could literally get views all the way down to the opposite side of the building, which was pretty broken, especially as you could get into that tower back in the day, so you could easily take advantage of that as an attacker. What also made that window even more broken is the fact that this door here actually used to be a double door instead of a single door, and the walls either side of it both used to be breachable, so you can get even more angles down to the opposite side of the building if those walls were blown up. I think a strat people used to use though was casting in this big door and instead making a rotation in one of these walls, which would really limit the angles that the attackers had. As for the west wall, currently it's a single door with two solid walls either side leading to the dragon. In the original though, well, there wasn't a door here at all. Instead, all three of these walls here were breachable. They did lead to Dragon, but the funny thing about old Skyscraper is Dragon actually used to be an outdoor area. I'm sure quite a few people remember this. So yeah, this whole area I'm walking around now was actually outside originally. Skyscraper really was a different map back then. The only way upstairs you can get from one side of the building to the other is by either going downstairs or through the drums. Ignore all that though, because there's an even bigger thing that changed the gameplay of this map between versions to do with a dragon. And that's the fact that dragon statue used to look towards the south rather than the north. So crazy! Whilst we're on the topic of dragon, this brings me to a comment on one of my YouTube videos actually, by a user named BegmanYT, asking me to check a weird drone hole on the roof of new Skyscraper and compare it to where it was on old Skyscraper. To be honest, I had no idea what drone hole they were talking about, but I did go on a drone hole hunt for it, and I thought they were crazy because I could not figure out a way at all to get on top of the Skyscraper roof. But then I realised I was the crazy one because you actually can get on the Skyscraper roof, just a little bit of it, which is the roof of Dragon right now, where you can rappel up from here. I literally did not know this was a spot in the map. It's just so weird that I've been playing these maps over and over and over for so many years, and yet there's still parts of maps that I didn't even know were a thing. It makes me wonder if there's actually parts of other maps that I'm missing as well that I've just never seen before. To be fair though, I don't know why you'd ever want to come up here, because it's literally just a drone hole and that's it. This drone hole leading into the ceiling of Dragon. As for what this was like in old Skyscraper, unfortunately it's nothing too interesting. As Dragon was an outdoor area in Skyscraper, there was, well, just nothing really above here. The drone hole would have been about here, I guess. And that also means, as far as I could tell by walking around the map, there wasn't a way to get on any part of the roof in old Skyscraper. I'm still just so shocked that I didn't even know this was a thing. Let me know in the comments if you actually knew that you could get on top of this part of the roof in New Skyscraper. Anyway, let's get back into the building and talk about the next room along, which is the exhibition room. Although this bit actually used to be part of the lounge. The lounge is still a thing in the rework. It's the room all the way at the back touching the south wall. This was the same in the original, except this front part was the lounge as well, whilst now it's just reversed, and the exhibition room has extended it instead, taken on that extra part of the lounge, whereas exhibition room used to be separated by a single door. Nowadays though, it's the lounge that's separated by a single door. Then there's these two sets of breachable walls here, the left one leading to the terrace and the right one leading to the Dragon. The left one's there in both versions, but the right one was just a solid wall in the original, as Dragon was an outdoor area back then and it already had the 3 breachable walls right opposite the stairs. Other than exhibition room being a lot smaller back in the day, not much has changed in here, other than a few props being moved around. This display room wasn't a thing back then though. This was actually still part of the exhibition room, so you used to be able to get more angles out of that window. Oh my god, the hologram! Yes, we're onto the work office now. But seriously, why did they get rid of this hologram? This thing was so insanely cool. Like, why? Why? Honestly, the worst change about this rework, well, now that I think about it, is probably the only bad change about this rework. This used to be called the work office though, rather than just the office. Although I do still have a habit of calling it the work office still nowadays. Other than the hatch and the floor shifting positions which we talked about before, there was only one change really in this room, which was a really big change, and that was the window in here. What window though? I don't see a window in here. Well, it's actually hiding behind the curtain. It's this one right here. This one actually used to be breachable in the original. Ah yeah, this window. Oh my god. Thank god they got rid of this. Bandit tricking the wall in here was literally just not possible because of this window. There was basically not even point in taking a bandit, to be honest. When I walked out into this southern part of the lounge, I was a bit confused for a minute because it clearly is a lot thinner in the original. So I was thinking, how is this possible? That's when I realised the work office was actually bigger in the original. This space here now in the lounge was in the work office back then. As you can see, there were 3 breachable walls in the work office before, whilst now there's only 2 because the office was shrunk on the west side. You could also see it visually from this random bit of wall here sticking out in the original. It was definitely a good change because, to be honest, this lounge just looked so unnaturally bare back here before. I mean, there wasn't even enough room to have this bar here. There was just literally nothing there. I mean, there was a plant here, but ugh, screw this greenery. Now moving on to the terrace. This is definitely one of the least changed rooms across both versions. Although it definitely did take a bit of a downgrade in terms of visuals in my opinion. The only change really is the wall that links to the Dragon, as the Dragon used to be an outdoor area. Instead of a breachable wall here, it actually used to be a double door, with 2 windows either side. Drums did change quite a lot, mostly again because of the changes with Dragon. This room used to be called, excuse my Japanese pronunciation, the Teiko. Instead of 2 sets of stairs opposite sides of the drum, we had just the 1 set of stairs leading up to the door of the hallway. This part of the drums here actually used to be in the hallway, and a door to it used to come out on the south rather than on the east like it does nowadays. And then because of the dragon being outside before, the mezzanine and the shrine did not exist. So instead we just had this little roof here past the drum where you could look down onto reception. You can still partially do this in the rework, but it's only this tiny section of roof now in the mezzanine. Funnily enough, you can still actually see this original roof we used to be able to climb on top of just above the bar in the rework. Just a little memory of the past. The drum never used to be breakable as well. Instead, when you hit it, you would get this nice little sound. Oh, so adorable. To be fair, I kinda wish we still had the sound rather than being able to break it. And then finally, we have this little area here that we can vault up to, which has the breachable wall that leads into the makeup room. This platform wasn't a thing in the original though, but the breachable wall actually was. It was just outside instead. Same with this little square area where that platform is in the rework. So you never used to be able to go straight from the geisha room or makeup room to the drums. Let's have a little look at the geisha room and makeup room now then. First of all, the makeup room part wasn't a thing. This was still just part of the geisha room. The two doors separating these two rooms in a rework were still there, but they weren't doors you could actually barricade. As for the breachable wall that leads to the south balcony, this wasn't here either, this was actually just a solid wall. Because as we talked about earlier, that breachable wall that leads to the drums nowadays was actually outside. So this was the outdoor breachable wall that led to the south balcony. For the rest of the geisha room, it looks different, but it actually isn't really. There did used to be this semi-breachable wall right opposite the window, which of course isn't here in the rework anymore. That breachable wall is in the same place though as these props in the middle of the room nowadays. Because the west balcony is now indoors, so all of the rooms along this west wall got bigger. So where I'm standing right now in the geisha room used to be on the west balcony outside. There did used to be this drone hole as well leading to the west balcony, just opposite the geisha room entrance. I use this drone hole a lot, so I definitely remember this one, and I still really want to go through this one to this day. But there wouldn't really be a point though, because it would literally just lead to mid-air nowadays. The hallway is actually mostly identical across both versions, except for the entrance doors to the drums, which we already talked about earlier. It does get a bit different though when we get to the north side of it, because as this north part of the balcony is now indoors, the building was extended to the north, so there's a lot more space here now. Another difference is this breachable wall leading to the karaoke. As you know nowadays, this breachable wall leads directly to the hallway. In the original though, the hallway didn't actually extend up to this breachable wall, so this would just be a drop to the stairs instead. So you couldn't really use this breachable wall as a rotation like you can nowadays, although technically you still could. You just couldn't go back through it from the hallway to the karaoke. There also used to be this drone hole which led to the tea room, which was actually a pretty big deal because defenders could easily shoot any attackers through it coming in from that entrance. It was kind of a pointless drone hole anyway, considering the door to the tea room was literally right there, so not sure what they were really thinking with adding this drone hole before. And then we have the tea room itself, which kept the exact same layout actually across both versions, but a couple of things did change. First of all, that door that leads to the mezzanine actually used to be a window, because mezzanine used to be an outdoor area back then. That breachable wall that leads to the mezzanine as well also wasn't a thing, this was just a solid wall instead. Other than that though, that's pretty much it for the tea room, and now we can move on to the final room, which is the karaoke. Although we have pretty much already listed everything that changed in here. From the room being extended to the west because of that west balcony not existing anymore, to the popular rotation wall leading to the stairs instead of back to the hallway, that is basically it. We can even see clearly in this room how much it actually extended out, because that popular rotation wall did used to be touching the west wall originally, but now there is a bit of a gap between that and the actual outer west wall. I think that is pretty much it for Skyscraper though, finally, but now it's time to talk about the objectives. For the bomb objectives, not a single one actually changed. Although all of these mob objectives did have some gameplay changes in some way, and despite how differently most of these mob objectives actually play, I think the rankings across both versions have actually pretty much stayed the same. Tea Room and Karaoke was the best objective back then, and it still is. Despite this being the best objective, Karaoke was still quite a pain to defend back then. That's because of the west balcony existing, so instead of attackers having to rappel into the room, they could literally just vault through the window. It made attacking this room a lot easier. Tea Room, despite adding some more breachable walls, I think actually got a bit easier to defend. As the east side of this room is no longer outside, there's more available rotations now for defenders to take back to the room. Exhibition and Work Office I think is the second best room nowadays, and it was definitely the second best in the original as well. Which might sound shocking considering this room looked awful to defend back then, but oh wow. We'll get to the other two objectives soon, don't worry. The main thing of course that made this room awful to defend was thanks to this window being open in the work office. It made bandit tricking literally impossible because attackers could literally just shoot you in the back. So basically this wall was guaranteed to be open in the original. There was literally no way of preventing it, to be honest. And then thanks to this window being open as well, staying in the lounge was pretty much off limits, as attackers had a horrible line of sight on you all the way from the back of this window, unless you had a castle to barricade that door. If that barricade was broken though, then well, good luck. Now the next two objectives are quite difficult to rank in both versions actually, for very different reasons. In the rework, they're both on par with each other because they're both pretty defendable, they're just not as good as the other two objectives. Whilst in the original, they are also both on par with each other, but they are both so insanely bad and are very undefendable. So you know what, I'm not even going to rank these two. I'm going to let you guys do that in the comments. Mostly because I don't actually remember which of these two objectives was the preferred one back in the day. The barbecue and kitchen just had too many entrances. I mean, there were 3 entrances into the barbecue room and it was a tiny room to begin with. And then you had 4 entrances into the kitchen, those being the 2 doors, the window and the breachable wall on the outside. And then as for the bedroom and bathroom, well, it was basically impossible to even stay in these 2 rooms to begin with. The only chance defenders had really is by defending the objective from outside of the objective, by locking down the lobby completely and defending it from there. In the rework though, I don't think you're really wrong in preferring one of these two over the other. Personally, I think I would prefer the bedroom and bathroom over the barbecue and kitchen, but honestly I really don't mind defending barbecue and kitchen either. Secure area only had one objective change, which was the karaoke, which actually used to be in the tea room instead. As for hostage, this one actually had 3 objective changes. The objective for the tea room used to be in the geisha room, the one for barbecue used to be in the kitchen, and the one for bathroom used to be in the bedroom. And now we are finally done with Skyscraper. I think this one has turned out to be my longest video so far in this series, and a lot really did change with this rework, and for the better in my opinion. This is a really underrated map. I wouldn't even rank this map that high. Personally, I would put it around average, but I think a lot of people would actually call this their least favourite map in the game, and to be honest, I don't really understand. Old Skyscraper was just weird, in a way where on paper it seemed a lot more attacker sided, but the amount of spawn peaks on this map actually did give defenders an advantage as well. New Skyscraper just seems a lot more balanced. I think it leans slightly more to the defender side, but I think it can be an overall pretty balanced map. Let me know in the comments though what you think of this map, and if you hate this map, let me know why. Because I am interested to know actually. Poor Skyscraper man, it doesn't deserve the hate. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.